in my life. Once the day I was recruited and had a facial, and one time thereafter over a dinner. Other than that, I trained myself from the kid. But what she taught me on the 2 times we were together, I kept and moved forward. So the day she called me out of the blue, I had sent her my weekly summary sheet. You know what that is. And I'm always a student of responsibility, so if I was told to send in a report, I figured she had to make that report to somebody in Dallas. I didn't know what she did with it, but I assumed it was important. I mailed it in. The only thing was it had 3 parties on it, 3 skincare classes, beauty shows then. And she took that as being my week's work. The truth is it was my annual report. So, that's true. Gosh, you have to know that though, because here I'm getting to the punchline. That was my annual report, 3 parties in a year. Any superstar would see that. And she picked up the phone and called me long distance, which she never did. They never talked. Said she had gotten my report, ran over to the office, shared it with Mary Kay Ash, and what a great thing I was doing in the Northeast. I said, "You did what?" I thought she was smoking something. I said, "You did what?" I was mortified. And she said, "Oh," and I told her all about you, and she said, "You let her know. You let her know that the company's going to be expanding their activities in that direction, and we need her to do a great job. We need her to step up and be a sales director." Now, I didn't know what a sales director was. That's the truth. Didn't know what they did, how they got it. I saw the paychecks it wasn't a magazine, it was mimeographed. But I assumed the money was real. So I said, "I don't know how you get paid. I don't know what you do. But I don't think I'm interested, Carolyn, because I've gotten very busy." I was also expecting my 3rd child. And she said, "Ann, Mary Kay told me that you were sitting on a gold mine. You have to think about this seriously, and I am more than willing to help you." I said, "Well, if I ever change my mind, I'll call you back." And I did. I hung up the phone. But I didn't sleep well that night because we'd been in Boston for a year. Nothing had changed. The job was good, but really it was nothing more than a cost of living pay raise. And so we had nothing at the end of the month left over. That was my thing. Nothing at the end of any month left over. And I had 2 3/4 children. And I thought one day they're going to come to me, taller than I probably, and say, "Ready to go to college, ready to go to college." So that became my purpose. I've got to do something. I have to do something. This Mary Kay. I called her back the next morning. I said, "I don't know what you do. I don't know how you do it, but I am interested." And she said, "That's all I need to know." And she said, "I want to come up and help you." And I said, "Well, it's October. Why don't give me a few months?" I literally had 3 parties in the year because I just didn't know any people up there. I said, "Give me a few months. Why don't we do it in the spring after Easter, and that'll give me time to build a business again," because I had a decent one in Richmond that I left behind. And she said, "That'll be great, but what are you doing next Friday?" I said, "Friday? I can't do anything by next Friday." "And we have to get this done. You're going to have the baby. We're going to get it done before the baby comes." And she started talking rag time. And I couldn't get her off the phone. And so the deal was she was coming. She said, "Just invite all your hostesses and customers." I thought, "You didn't read the annual report." I said, "I'll do the best I can." Because she wasn't going to take no for an answer. And Thursday night, the following Thursday, I called her up bawling on the phone. I said, "Carolyn, don't get on that plane. I had 12 ladies coming, down to 6, and they'll probably all cancel. And I'm coming. Don't worry about it. I'll be there. Meet me at the airport." End of story. So that was the first page I took out of her book, Long Going. When you see an opportunity, you don't wait for the person to prove themselves. She saw a market. I'm sure Mary Kay Ash probably told her, "Get the Sam Hill on a plane and get up there." We didn't want anybody up there. She probably did. It's an opportunity. She never said, "This girl doesn't really book well." She never said, she's never recruited anybody. She never said what I didn't do. She saw an opportunity, and I was her catalyst. That lesson took me more places, more states, more countries than any other thing. Don't wait for someone to prove themselves. You might miss a diamond in the rough. It's in your own backyard. And when she came, and this was the second lesson I took out of her book, when she came to Boston, and 6 ladies showed up for coffee, I think a couple of them were just neighbors, and 4 were skincare users. She sat there and told her little story in her own inimitable, quiet, sweet way, just like she did to me over a long lunch the day I was recruited. I heard more this time than I heard at my own recruiting. That time when she recruited me, it was 4 hours. The interview was 4.5 hours. It was a long lunch. I really liked her, enjoyed her company, but the only thing I really heard was, you buy the stuff for $1 and you sell it for $2. I'm sure she talked about, she had been on the throne, some throne, I didn't know what it was. She had been clean. I heard all this stuff that would be, and one of the other, but I could buy it for $1 and sell it for $2. Easy math. I like that. Easy math. No big deal. And the sales tax, you just collected it, but the company took care of that. That was so bad. I always thought, you had a small business, think about all that tax stuff you had to miss. So that's what I heard. This time, when I watched her tell her same story to these 6 ladies, I heard everything she said, because now she was putting me in a position of becoming a sales director. I thought, really? I didn't know that. I didn't say a word. I just listened. I never interrupted her. And her closing statement was, and so on. When she went around the room and let each person talk about themselves, and if you were to do something like this, what would you want out of it? And at the end of it, she said, well, if you can make a decision, to do this while I'm here, I will be glad to train you myself tomorrow morning. I'm staying over, I'll train you myself tomorrow morning. Otherwise, you'll be left with Ann. I think I read more into that than they did. I thought, yeah, God help you. So that night, when we had dinner, and she and I must have stayed up till 2 in the morning, because she stayed at my house. And all of a sudden, everything she said, I heard. Everything became a possibility. And I could see, it's like the vision that came out of her mouth was unbelievable. The next morning, we had no idea. Got up, made coffee. My doorbell started ringing. 5 out of 6 ladies showed up at my door. And they had gone to the bank, because she always closed with the case and the order at the interview. I learned that too. Don't tell them it costs $100 when it costs $400. They had bank checks in their hand. 5 out of 6 people. I thought, how did I miss this part of the deal the first time? I've been 18 months that I've been in Mary Kay. She sat there and trained us around my dining room table. It was my first training. I hadn't had one. I'm taking copious notes just like they were. And then she said, now you all get busy. You're going to be the first unit in the Northeast. Get busy and make this happen, and Mary Kay will be proud of you, and I'll be back. I'll be back when you debut as a new unit. And this is the calendar, and this is what it should be. And on that note, I put her on the plane on Sunday, and I never saw her. And so she left me with a goal. It was October. She helped me get my first 5. And it was a package. You came in as a package, not a kit. And she said, and you'll get the next 5, which happened between October and December. Because all of a sudden, I had been in Mary Kay, but now for the first time, Mary Kay was in me. And I ran like a chicken with its head cut off. Every woman that I had seen, morning, noon, and night, anywhere, church, school, grocery, whatever, now became a possibility. My son was born 10 days later. I went up and down the hall in maternity ward. I gave every woman on that floor a facial, had my kid with me. And I said, you gotta look good before your family comes to see you. And one of them said, do you make any money at this? Yes. Everything became a possibility. And so by December, I had my 10. And I was on a plane was ready to go on a plane to be bound for Dallas, Texas. You had to go to Dallas for your week of training as what you would call a team leader. You had to have the 10 active, and because we didn't have enough directors around the country to train people how to grow up. So you went to Dallas and spent an entire week. You flew in on Sunday, you didn't leave till Friday afternoon. And I mean, we had teachers every single day, meeting material. But I learned that week for the first time what challenges meant to the career. And I had a baby, and he was 6 weeks old now, and Carolyn had said, this was why it was important on the calendar, she said, plan to come in January a week early because we have what we call the January Jamboree. You've never seen a meeting with the company. I think it'd be good for you to see the whole picture. Yeah. And then you can stay for the week of director training. So that was the plan. Whatever she said, I just put rubber stamped it. I'll do it. I was a good student. And I decided the day before I was set to fly. My parents lived in Dallas, so I was going to have a place to stay. The day before I was set to fly, I thought the baby, I needed to run by the pediatrician's office. And I thought he might want to change the formula because I was going to be down here a full 2 weeks at least. And I popped into his office. He said, no, let me just take a look at him while you're here. Decided to do a body scan and whatever, and he said, Ann, this baby's got to go to the hospital. I said, no, I'm on a plane tomorrow. And he said, no, this baby has to go to the hospital right now. And he had found some kind of a lump in the lower abdomen. And I said, well, I'm sure it'll be, my sister-in-law has a pediatrician. If I get down there, I'll meet you at the hospital in an hour, and this baby may not make it. Okay, go to the hospital, called my husband, called a neighbor and said, can you help me with the other two at home? I'm going straight. Anyway, got there, they operated on him. That was fine. I went up to this doctor who I did not know. So while he was in surgery, this was like 7 o'clock at night, I'm telling you, I went to that chapel. I spent 2 hours in that chapel, and I said, I don't know if this is a sign. I don't know if I'm not supposed to go. I have all this built up. I have these people that are counting on me, 10. Just help me know what I'm supposed to do. That's all I could do. And I spoke to the doctor. I said, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I was supposed to be on a plane tomorrow for a very important meeting that I understand I cannot miss or get out of. Will you let me travel? And he said, I can't answer you that now. See me in the morning. And all I could do was pray all night. The next morning he said, well, if you promise me you'll get him in with the doctor's care, I'll let you go. And so help me God, I grabbed that little thing, 2 other kids under 4, and got myself to those nurses were, you can't take that baby out of here. I said, you watch me. I was on a mission, and I was off to Dallas. God told me I could go. That was my first clue. So when I got down here, and I went to the January Jamboree, I went by myself, Marriott Hotel on Stedman's Free. We walked into this room, and it was a sizable stage. I mean, we weren't big then. We only had about 4,000 consultants on. But they were at this jamboree, and everybody stood on their feet and burst into this ridiculous song. I left the meeting, went down the hall to find out where the Mary Kay group was gathered. And I said, oh, that's it. I thought, no. I thought, how am I going to tell these conservative Bostonian ladies that this group sings and dances? Very Southern. Here I was. I decided I had paid for the plane ticket, and I sucked it up and lived through it. But by the next week, I understood why. My class for DIQ was one banquet table like this. It was in a small meeting room. There were 9 other ladies besides myself going to go through DIQ. I can see most of them today. And Monday and Tuesday, we had these teachers that came in and trained and directors, local directors from Dallas, and each one sounded brilliant. I mean, brilliant. I mean, they read these books. They called them motivational books. I'd never seen one. And they had these meetings, and I thought, what do they do at these meetings? And I just listened to all this material, but my 9 friends around the table, they scared me more than the teachers, because they talked about their teams, their units, all these sales going on, team building. I left 3 behind that hadn't even opened their kit. I really think I may have jumped in ahead of myself. But I paid for the plane ticket and decided to live the week. And the next day we were slated to meet the one and only. Didn't have a picture of her, certainly didn't have a cassette of her. We didn't have cassettes then. We had no picture, no book, no audio. She was the chairman of the board of a publicly held company, which in those days, if there were 5 women on any board in the United States of America, it would have been amazing. So I didn't know what to expect. I thought she was going to be aggressive. I knew that she had been in sales for a long time, and I thought she was going to be assertive. And I thought I was poised for being made to go to work with sell yesterday, sell today, and sell again tomorrow. I figured that's what it was going to be, and most of you know what I got. She was shorter than I. She was certainly blonder than I, and quite a bit on the rotund side. And she spent an entire 8-hour day, I guess we broke for lunch, but 8 hours on her feet by herself, telling us every single thing under the sun that she would want us to know. And the majority of it was built around, first of all, the philosophy of the company. That, we long since ago, we took God as our partner, and I've always believed, and this is she, I'm quoting, that if you put God first in your life, and your family second, and your job third, that everything's going to work out fine for you. And somehow, if you don't do it in that order, things just probably won't work out well at all. Did you get that message? Yes, ma'am. And then she went on to talk about our families. She said, I expect you to, she said, I have created a company wherein for one time, women can honestly be paid what they're worth. Women in my days were paid less than 50 cents on the dollar, and that dog just won't hunt. That's what she used to say, that dog won't hunt. And I have created a plan by which you can make more money as a woman in any other job you can possibly handle. Are you listening to me? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, truthfully, the sky is the limit on what you'll be able to earn. It will be infinitesimal. And I remember going home that night in my bed thinking, how can she say that? How in the world can somebody make a statement like that? That the infinitive limit as to what you can earn. Well, she said it 3 times during the course of the week. That's how much she believed me. And I thought I was too young and too immature to challenge it. All I knew was that by meeting her and understanding her work ethic, that I was more than willing to run in her pathway. And she said, I expect you to see to it that every woman you ever encounter has a chance to sit down and try our beautiful, wonderful product, because that's what we're in the business in. We're in the cosmetic business, and we have the best product in America, and the only way anybody can have it, the only way they can have it, is to try it first. Just remember, we don't sell from a catalog. It's strictly try before you buy, and you are the skincare consultant. You remember that, ladies? Yes, ma'am. And she said, so you never let anybody go by without at least getting them to try. Then it becomes their choice. What do they buy? Well, she said, and along with all this good work that you're going to do, though, I want you to pay extra close attention to your family, because their needs come first. And if it's your husband's birthday, I expect you to dovetail that class of yours. I didn't know what a dovetail was, but I learned. And stay home and bake the cake yourself. Don't let them ever think that you've sacrificed your time on the job for precious times in their lives. And I remember thinking through the whole day, my mother would like you. I mean, she really talked to us as though it was my mother saying, you take care of that man in your life. You see that those kids have 3 square meals and all that stuff. The end of the week came Friday. She asked me to come in her office. And this was the next thing I learned. She had a big map. She had a map on the wall, just a plastic map you pick up at an art store, and little stick head pins, red ones. Every time she had a sales director that grew up in the company, she put a pin in the city. So of course she had several in Dallas and Fort Worth, Louisiana, just right here in these 6 states. And then there was one stuck up here in Boston. She said, "We put your pin up here already, because we know you're going to make it. You're going to be our pioneer in the Northeast." Wow. And she said, "I don't want to even understand how you heard about us." And of course, I told her the story. And she said, "Well, and she looked at me right now, and she said, all I'm saying to you is, I expect you to go to every single highway and byway in New England. Do not let one village or town go untouched. I expect you to put this wonderful product on every woman who will sit still for 45 minutes and help her understand. Help her understand that we want, more than anything, for her to feel better about herself than she ever did before, to look better every day because it'll be a gift to her family and then to her community, and her confidence is just going to soar. Will you help these ladies understand that and see to it that each one tries it with no obligation? Just try it and be patient about it. Will you promise me, Ann?" "Yes, ma'am, I will." And she said, "For those that are willing to sit for an extra 20 minutes, see to it that they understand our beautiful company and the pathway that I've created to help women everywhere. And I want you to not let one stone go unturned, not let one woman get past you. Will you promise me you'll do this?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And it was an awesome, awesome responsibility. So when I got home, I get it. Oh, and their parting words were, "Now, you're going to be the first director in the Northeast, because that's just the way it's all rolled out. But you're not going to be able to handle it. You're not going to be able to handle the growth that's going to come your way. This company is going to explode, and you can't manage it all. So be sure each of your ladies understands that this opportunity is as big for them as it is for you, that there is room at the top, and it will be your job to help them get there. Will you see to it? Will you see to it that each one gets a chance to go for that role as much as you?" "Yes, ma'am, I will." And on that moment, on that day, the rest of my career was born. I went back home and gathered my 10 ladies together. I think they thought I was going to come back and teach them a whole lot about makeup. I never saw a makeup class. I never saw a product. All I heard was from these brilliant women on how to hold a sales meeting, how to recruit people, not only more professionally, but on a grant. Everything I learned that week. And of the beautiful ladies that taught me, the one that I remembered the most was the incomparable Sue Vickers. Sue was in the top 10 in the company. Of course, I didn't know who any of these people were. It didn't matter. Each one was important in her own right. But Sue was the one that came in, and I must tell you this because it was a turning point for me. Remember, 3 parties in a year. There was a reason for that. If I really got to know you, I could finally book you. And if the product sold itself, I never really had to ask for the sale. I had to say that I was amazed how easy that became, even though I was petrified. Sue came into the room in that DIQ week, and she said, I bet all my sister friends have been in here with all these big books they read, giving you all a whole bunch of advice and psychology and all this stuff, and we're all going, yeah, that's kind of how it was. And she said, well, I don't have anything. I'm not really a prepared person. But she said, I'm here, and you have any questions? Ask me anything you want. I'll do my best to answer. Anybody questions? Dead silence. Not a word. Nobody moved. And finally, I thought, well, they're not going to ask anything. I certainly have something to ask. Pull a hand up. Yeah. What's your name, hon? What's your name? Ann, where you? Oh, you're the one from Boston. Yeah. We've all been hearing about you. She said, what do you want to know? I said, what I want to know is, how do you book from a class? Book from a class? Book from a class? How'd you get here if you don't know how to do that? she felt the tears starting to flow. She felt it, what had happened. She said, I'm going to show you, honey. I'm going to show you. And she moved in on me, chicken on a dinner. And she said, this is our table. This is our beauty shop. And we're ready to close. We're ready to close. I'm ready. And so help me God, she gets down on the floor. It's down on the floor, on her knees, right by my seat. Everybody else was supposed to be a guest. Look, she said, you look up. You look up into their right eye. Get that. It's the right eye. I said, which